right, this is Donovan Hilton. We are here at the State of Black Nashville. We're here at the State of Black Nashville. We got Mr. Tony Greer behind me, shout out. TG. Outstanding security business. If you don't mind, Mr. Greer, can you tell me a little bit about your business, who you are, and a little bit about your business, if you don't mind? Sure. This gentleman, and you know I'm all over the place. I'm in connected, influential places, and I always see this gentleman in the cut, literally. Tony, if you don't mind, can you introduce yourself and your business real quick?
My name is Tony Greer. I own a global lifestyle management company. We specialize in executive protection, personal assistance, luxury lodging, and plane and jet charters.
Hey, so first, how you doing?
And
good to see you. Happy Father's Day.
I've created a private foundation that focuses on fighting against hunger, poverty, and educational deficiencies. And in conjunction with that, we've created 2 scholarship programs. One is in educational deficiencies, and the other one is in Special Olympics.
Good to see you. Sorry.
No, you're fine. It's a nationwide platform and program that will be underway in the next year or so.
Awesome. Well, TG, man, excellent job. I'm telling you, I see Mr. Greer literally all over the place and professional, top-notch, and just listen out for that name. Say that name one more time if you don't mind.
Tony Greer.
Listen out for that name.
It's coming.
And just leave a comment when you hear the day, and let you know who heard it first. All the best in your personal life and career, Tony.
Thank you.
Good to see you again.
It.
Likewise. And so we're at the Nashville, the State of Black Nashville. Some of the things that I took from this particular meeting, the biggest thing, and I'll probably write a blog or something about, what happened. But the biggest thing that I took from this particular meeting today, which is the State of Black Nashville, and I'm gonna give credit to Dr. Carol Swain. I think she actually hit the nail on the head from my perspective. She said, currently, and it may not be right, but especially in Nashville, the real situation is, especially we're talking the State of Black Nashville, if you are so-called black, then you have to become a connector. You have to be someone that is getting to know people, networking, building your relationships, because there is an inside type of information, because traditionally you have the public and the private sector. And the public sector, low-key, is private sector, because private sector is what makes the world go around in regards to our cash flow for our municipality, our state, and our federal government. So that's why I'm always advocating to make sure you get your personal skills up, get your work skills up, make sure you know your values, and put yourself in positions such as these in a manner and a professional dress to where you are able to build networks and make connections. So great event. I'm going to see if I can capture some interviews with some of the candidates. Let's check it out and see. Do you have any children by chance? Happy Father's Day. A few weeks ago. Good to see you. And as we are out here moving and shaking, getting to know the candidates, sometimes it's the people behind the scene that also make things happen. And with all due respect, this is a gentleman behind the scene that you may not even know about and hear about, but he does a lot of great things as we're talking about the State of Black Nashville and he does it for all of Nashville. It's not even about Black Nashville, but he does it for all of Nashville. But Mr. Jeff Carr, true influencer, community advocate. I wonder if you don't mind, first of all, Mr. Carr, how you doing, sir?
Good to see you, Donovan, man. One of our awesome community folks out here, just one of our young, gifted talents and minds. I'm honored to be here in your presence with you, man.
Thank
Glad
you. I
to see you
received
out
that.
as always. You're always everywhere.
Thank you so much. I received that, and it's individuals that have paved the way, such as yourself, and we're watching. Bottom line, young folks are watching. We appreciate what you're doing, and we thank you for making the road as smooth as possible. All we gotta do is watch and learn. So.
Let's go, man. We're doing it together.
If you don't mind me asking, Mr. Carr, we just finished this event. We know this is the mayoral campaign race. It's an important one for our time in Nashville. If you don't mind me asking, as an advocate for Black Nashville, what was your perspective of the race? What do Black people need to keep in mind in Nashville? And what is your message to lead people before we get out of here tonight?
Let me say first and foremost is I got a Cooper badge on, so I always try to, even if I've never really supported a candidate before, the reason why I'm supporting Cooper is because he tends to deliver solid answers, and he has a business management background and an encyclopedic knowledge of Nashville government.
I see.
But that said, I think tonight was an opportunity for all the candidates to demonstrate their commitment to the black community. I think it was very clear that some people have answers, and then some people just kind of like to use the buzzwords.
I'm with you.
So they're very great presentations, but I think that we live in a time where smart voters are now looking beyond the presentation. So we're looking beyond the rehearsed speeches. We're looking beyond the great flyers. We're actually getting online now. We're talking on digital mediums, and so we're actually exploring. So I'm encouraging everybody, no matter who your candidate is, to just spend a little time researching them and just compare and contrast and see who's been there. Look for people, I always say, look for people who have the receipts. We've heard that a lot, who has the receipts to show and who you can trust. And this gives us a pivotal time to participate in government on a whole new level. So that gets us there. So yeah, NAACP president. Got all the people out tonight.
We had the NAACP, Mr. Keith Caldwell here, NAACP president, if you don't mind. Mr. Carr,
Absolutely. I think,
I'm gonna let you ask if you don't mind.
That's the guy you need to talk to. He's amazing.
Mr. Caldwell, we're not gonna put you on the spot. Representing myself, Donovan Hilton. I think we've met a few times, but it's good to see you again. You have any children by chance?
Yeah, I have 4 adult children.
Happy Father's Day to you, even though it was a few weeks ago. Mr. Caldwell, if you don't mind, sir, I take you had a chance to stop by, check out the event. If you don't mind, as the president of the NAACP here, what was your perspective, and what do black people in Nashville have to keep in mind when making a decision for the upcoming mayoral race?
Well, we have to keep in mind that we have to be at the decision-making table, and we cannot just be symbolically represented. And so we have to work on city council seats, even with these appointments that are taking place, because we have to have a paradigm shift around culture. So, and we have to name the brutal legacy of white supremacy that continues to have a death grip on our politics.
We hear you.
Yeah, and so part of us doing that is disrupting those systems of injustice.
I see. Well, Mr. Caldwell, we thank you for that insight. We speak all continued life and support for you, and we definitely appreciate what you're doing in the community. You're welcome. All right, so we're supposed to connect with the candidates, but I think we connected with some really good individuals that are in the community, in the trenches. So we'll see if we can capture a few more. And I personally want to see if I can get an interview with Dr. Carol Swain. Very unique position, and I feel if no one's aware of her, this is an opportunity, especially being a woman of color. So let's see if we can get an interview going. So we're here, we're meeting with Movers and Shakers, and Tim, we see you right here, first of all. There's Tequila all in the camera. But Tim, we see, he's always a cat in the background. I want to introduce you to 2 movers and shakers. When we say, the state of Black Nashville, sometimes it's about what's being done behind the scene and not necessarily being an elected official. And these are 2 individuals that if they ever decide to run, already have the resume, and there you go. Because they know that there you go. But their work is building, and it's bigger than just a campaign season. And so I'm going to introduce Mr. Timothy here and Mr. Tequila Johnson here, movers and shakers of the community. I'm going to put some links as best I can of what they're doing, organizations they're connected with. But if you don't mind, Timothy, from your perspective, we'll start with you real quick. What was your take on today's meeting, and why is it so important for Black Nashville to make sure they recognize and make an educated decision?
It's critically important that Black Nashville be engaged in this political environment. I mean, what we're looking at right now is a lot of our elections are being decided by a handful of votes. We've got Metro Council people who are being elected by 25 votes. We've got mayors of the city who are responsible for the trajectory of our city who are being elected by a handful of votes. So we got to make sure that we are listening to every candidate, that we're asking the questions that need to be asked, and we're seeking out the answers that need to be had. So it's very important that we stay engaged.
Thank you, Timothy. Very analytical thinker, very articulate, and you have to make sure you watch what you say, because he's not only going to hold it, but he's also going to make sure that he verifies.
Absolutely.
So you got to come sharp with this, brother.
Trust and verify.
Thank you so much for that, Timothy. I'm going to shake your hand on camera. I appreciate you, man.
Thank you,
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And Miss Tequila Johnson, I've seen Miss Johnson here in the trenches way before she became, and she's a growing stateswoman. I mean, she's a growing stateswoman, and she's been grassroots since day one. So much so, I think last time we connected as well, we were in Oakland for a justice reform conference and training, and she really is someone that is connected in the community. Ms. Johnson, especially I believe you had your hand in putting this together as well. What was your take on tonight's event? Why is it so important for Black Nashville to make sure they make a wise, educated decision in the mayoral forum?
I think it's extremely important when you think about displacement and you think about people who are marginalized and when you look at the disparity study, everything in the African American community is decreasing, from home ownership to the number of small businesses, you name it. So I think it's extremely important. When you think about the mayor almost serves as the city's CEO. And the council will be sort of kind of like the board of directors, because they are responsible for passing the budget. And those are the things that impact African Americans, communities of color, but particularly black people, who have for so often been left out of those equations when they're counting the money behind the scenes. It is extremely important for us to make sure that we have our fair share of that budget. So often and for so long, our community has been sold off brick by brick, by both our leaders and by our lack of knowledge of the system and by our lack of civic participation. But we have dedicated ourselves, myself and Timothy, as leaders who do this work out of pure passion for free, to make sure that we can't be bought, we can't be bossed, and that we are advocating for our community. And when I say our community, I mean black people, our community, to make sure that we have our fair share. So it's important that not only do you listen to what each of the candidates said, but you take the time and go on Google or call me or go on Facebook and message me. And if it's something that you don't know that is within the scope of what they're allowed to do, because a lot of the things they said they were going to do, I'm here to tell you the mayor does not have autonomy to do. The council does it. The council has to do a lot of those things. So it's important that you listen to what they said and research what they said, because what we need in the African American community are results. And the only way you get results is if you have tangible ask and receipts to follow up.
Absolutely. I would love to be able to piggyback on what Tequila was just talking about. The Equity Alliance is putting together the Nashville Voter Guide. Make sure that you download it, make sure that you look at it. It will let you know exactly who's running, what policies are being considered. It's critically important that you educate yourself about what's happening in this election cycle, and the Nashville Voter Guide is a very important tool to do that.
There you have it. The lights are going out. If you don't mind, do I have your blessing to at least put, Tequila, your links on your Facebook where folks can find you and get some information? I also challenge the public and private sector to contract with these young folks as far as motivational speaking and some training as well. Very sharp individuals, and I'm going to shake your hand in public. All the best in your personal life and your career. Thank you so much.
Same to you, brother.
Thank you. Thank you very much, brother. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Got it.
Tell me we're black.
He has civil service protection. The mayor can't just fire the chief of police. He's a civil servant. To stand up here in front of y'all and say, I'm going to fire the chief, that's exhibit number 1 to the Civil Service Commission saying we can't fire him. It was just a political promise. It had nothing to do with his job performance. So this is one of the things y'all need to understand. People are going to stand up here, they're going to make promises. They don't really know that much about how the government runs. They just are making promises. So listen closely to the promises. Councilman Cooper came closer to the right answer. This should not be about picking out one employee and deciding in this context that we're going to fire him. You know when that happened last, Harriet? That happened with Sean Joseph last. It happened with him last. Could be the chief now, be somebody else next.
The chief can be demoted by the mayor. The chief can be demoted by the mayor.
We're going to limit your comments to your time. And Brian, I wanted you to be queued in case we need to mute the mics. Thank you. Now for our next question. For our next question, a recent study has found proof of concentrated poverty and low-income developments in Nashville's African-American pockets, namely Bordeaux. MDHA was recently blocked from placing more low-income units along County Hospital Road. What is your plan to finally spread low-income development across the county instead of it mostly being concentrated in North Nashville and where mostly Black Nashvillians live?
Well, thank you for this question, and it's an important question that we must evaluate closely. First of all, no neighborhood should be off limits to anyone in this city. For too long, we have continued to see effects of the redlining and segregation in our community. We're going to have an affordable housing crisis, or we have an affordable housing crisis in this city. Right now, we have a shortage of 19,000 units for those making $35,000 and lower. That requires leadership in the mayor's office to substantially increase the stock of affordable housing throughout Nashville. Now, to increase that, we need to start developing the units. And we need to better protect metro land. So one of the ways I want to do this is create a dedicated revenue stream to fund the Barnes Fund for affordable housing. Every year right now, it's contingent upon the political whims of the Metro Council and the Mayor's office. The nonprofits, faith-based community, and others who want to build affordable housing throughout our community can't rely on a dedicated revenue source. I would strive to increase the funding levels in that on an annual basis to $50 million per year over the next 5 years. Second, we have to stop giving away public property and selling it to fill in one-time budgetary gaps. I want to create a land bank whereby we put, if land is surplus, we put it into the land bank. It is determined in a transparent and public process, a best use, with priority given to the development of affordable housing. That is a key component to making the development of affordable housing available and affordable to those who want to build it. If we do that, we create the dedicated revenue, and we create the land bank and do this in a transparent way, we will see an increase in affordable housing stock across the city, and not just in certain communities, but across the entire city of Nashville, because again, no neighborhood should be off limits to anyone.
My housing plan is called Blue Collar Housing, and it focuses on the population that are earning $50,000 or less. The cost of living comfortably in Nashville has been estimated at $80,000. The average Nashvilleian makes around $50,000 a year. And what I would like to do is to make available to developers some of the estimated 2,000 or so parcels of city-owned land so that they could build homes. And the building on city-owned land, we can get the cost of housing below $200,000, where people can afford homes that are working, homes in the $150,000, $200,000 range. We can also use modular technology, prefabs. There are all sorts of things that are available that can make the cost of housing a lot lower than it is. And when it comes to people that have white-collar jobs, employers can do like HCA and subsidize the rents. HCA gives a discount. They negotiate contracts so that their employees don't have to pay the same rate as everyone else. And so that's some of the things we can do. With MDHA and the Barnes Fund, there needs to be more transparency and accountability because they have not always used the money that was allocated wisely. As mayor, I'm going to have a government that is transparent, that's fair, that's accountability, and I'm going to put the needs of the people above that of my friends and allies and myself. It's about you all. It's not about enriching your friends.
Harriet, could you repeat the question? I'm sorry.
Absolutely, sure thing. A recent study has found proof of concentrated poverty and low-income developments in Nashville's African-American pockets, namely Bordeaux. MDHA was recently blocked from putting low-income units on County Hospital Road. What is your plan to finally spread low-income development across the county instead of it mostly being concentrated in North Nashville and where mostly Black Nashvillians live?
Well, that's a great question. And so with economic development in Bordeaux is critically important to me, and that's why I met today with developers from Bordeaux about some proposed investments from the city to make those developments come to reality. And I'm committed to making sure we do that across the board. Now, I announced a plan called Under One Roof 2029 to spend an unprecedented amount of city money on affordable housing. And a big part of that is going back to the 6 legacy housing developments that MDHA owns right now. And what we need to do in those areas is go back and make them mixed income. And so it's sort of the reverse of what you're talking about. I don't think we need to be just talking about where we're going to build affordable housing. We need to go back into the neighborhoods that have been concentrated poverty for decades and decades and make them mixed income. And the reason is that all of the evidence demonstrates that mixed income neighborhoods are better for everybody who lives there. You get kids with higher outcomes, you get families earning more money, and that's what we need to do. So when it comes to my plan for Bordeaux, it is for folks who live here to come and help me invest in this community so that folks who've lived here forever don't get dumped on. They get a chance to decide where they're going, and the city helps, just like we've helped in other parts of town. I'm already working on projects to do that, and we're going to convert each and every one of our affordable housing developments to a mixed income neighborhood, because that's the right direction for the city.
Thank you. This is why it needs to be everyone's Nashville. Affordable housing is a challenge for the whole county, but particularly in some parts, because frankly, I'll just tell you the truth, we lost focus on this. We lost focus on this. Affordable housing needs to be central to everything that we do. We stopped making it part of being of any incentive that we give. Also needs to include affordable housing. In Mayor Purcell's years, every TIF loan had an affordable housing component to it. And when we thought we were doing something for affordable housing, like when we sold the 5th and Broadway site, the most valuable thing that we've ever owned as taxpayers, we said, oh, that money's going to go to the Barnes Fund. Well, we sold that site for $5 million, and it's really, I've been told, worth $150 million. We should be getting $5 million a year for it. We sold it for $5 million because it was going to go to the Barnes Fund. If this is how we're managing our money, we are not going to be making progress in meeting the priorities of everyone's Nashville. Going forward, it's easy to use a worthy purpose, but then not to fulfill that mission. And that mission is all of us being able to have a home that we can afford. And Metro's not going to be able to solve all that problem, but it has an obligation to do what it can. And the current policy, the plan of using our affordable housing money going forward, all back to MDHA as the only tool, really, well, that's not going to be effective for all of us. That's not going to create the kind of platform for all of us to participate in a better Nashville going forward. That's doubling down on kind of the least transparent agency in Metro and in Nashville, and over-concentrating our resources with only one tool. Thank you.
So I am going to do a call to action, but this call to action is going to be a little bit different. We surveyed several community stakeholders to ask them if there were tangible things that you could ask your next mayor to deliver on. What would those be? So all I need from you is a yes or a no. Okay. Will you support the following activities proven to increase civic participation in Black communities? 1. Hold all city government offices accountable to offer in-person voter registration to the citizens they serve.
And if we get the money right, our future will be unlimited. But we have to get the money right. We have to get the money headed to the right place. And that's back to you and the neighborhood. I'm a management person, business person who's wandered onto the council. And I'll tell you, we've not really been doing that. That Metro often manages by neglect or by a cookie jar. And this community knows it's not been in line for that cookie jar. And favors have gone to favorites, and that era needs to stop. And we need to rebalance the city's priorities and to put you and the neighborhood first.
I'm a little astounded here that the mayor's trying to rewrite history. Real leaders stand up for directors of schools while they're doing the hard work and having the tough conversations. They don't sit on their hands and stay silent until after it's too late and they've been let go. Public education is my top priority. Together, if we're going to build a better future for our city, it starts with public education. We must fully fund our public schools. We must give our teachers the resources they need to do their jobs, and make sure that every child across this city is getting an equal opportunity to succeed.
Where there's no vision, the people perish. These men that are on stage and men like them have been elected for decades, and yet we have the same problems. Nothing ever changes. And the reason that I'm running is not because I want to be a politician. No way would I ever want to be a politician, but I'm running because I care about the people. I'm running because I'm a Christian. I'm running because I believe in servant leadership. And I spent most of my life in the Democratic Party, just like you all. I left the party in 2009. I started moving away from the Democratic Party after I had a Christian conversion experience. I could not stay in a party that condoned and encouraged abortion. And black Americans, if the abortion rate of black Americans, if that was being pushed by Republicans, you would call it genocide. And so I come before you not as a representative of a political party, but as someone that wants to address the crime problem in Nashville. I want to work on the education problem. I want to work on the neighborhoods and infrastructure. And I believe that I am uniquely qualified to address these issues because I come from poverty. My family is like a laboratory. I have people that have experienced everything that we're suffering with in the black community. And I have been in academia. I've studied these issues. I've lived these issues. I've watched what works and what doesn't work. And so I'm asking for you all to support me. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. If you elect any of these men who are part of these two are political dynasties, their families are part of political dynasties. Elect any of these people and you can expect more of the same. With me, you will get change and you will get access and you will get an opportunity to serve with a mayor who cares about you and the whole city, who's not going to try to divide people. I will bring people together. I want your vote.
Thank you very much.